My dear friend, let's sit together in this heavy moment where you feel like you're drowning, even as you pour your heart out in prayer, where the waves of life struggles, pain, fear, or loss keep crashing over you despite your cries to God. I want to speak to those times when you're praying fervently, yet the answers seem silent and the burdens feel relentless. Maybe it's a financial crisis, a broken relationship, or a health battle that leaves you gasping for hope. Perhaps you're clinging to faith, but the silence makes you wonder if God hears, or you're questioning whether your prayers matter. It's a desperate, soul-aching place, isn't it? You might feel abandoned, doubt your faith, or fear you'll sink under the weight. But let me assure you right now, when you're praying but still drowning, you're not beyond God's reach. He's holding you in the flood, affirming your divine worth, anchoring your faith, and guiding you to a purpose that shines for His glory. Drawing on Dr. Myles Munroe's wisdom about your God-given purpose, I'll unpack why you're drowning despite your prayers and show you how to rise with vibrant faith, trusting God's presence and thriving in the destiny He's crafting, not defined by the silence or the storms you face. Picture this. You're not alone in praying, yet feeling submerged. Think of Hannah, who prayed for a child through years of barrenness, her heart breaking, yet God heard her cries and gave her Samuel, a prophet for His glory. Or consider Paul and Silas praying in prison's chains, yet God sent an earthquake to free them, turning their trial into testimony. Even Jesus, praying in anguish on the cross, felt forsaken, yet His prayers led to resurrection and redemption. Dr. Myles Munroe taught that your worth isn't diminished when prayers seem unanswered. It's magnified in the purpose God is weaving through the storm. When you're praying but still drowning, it's not a sign that God's deaf to your cries, but that He's working in the silence, shaping you for a destiny that glorifies Him. This flood isn't your end, it's God's canvas for your breakthrough. Let's explore why you're drowning despite your prayers and what God is doing in this season. First, God uses these storms to deepen your trust in Him. When answers delay, He's teaching you to rely on His presence, not just His provision. As Psalm 62:5 says, "Yes, my soul, find rest in God. My hope comes from Him." That silence is building your faith. Second, this season is refining your character. The waves strip away pride or self-reliance, shaping you into a vessel for God's purpose, resilient and humble. That struggle is molding your heart. Finally, God is preparing a testimony. Your prayers, even in the flood, are planting seeds for a story of His faithfulness, one that will inspire others and align you with His plan. Dr. Munroe said, your purpose is like a ship. It's built to weather storms, not avoid them. That's you right now, held in God's hands, even as the waters rise. I know this season stirs raw emotions. Praying yet drowning can make you feel unheard, like your faith is failing, or like God's turned away. You might think, why aren't my prayers working, or does God even care? Perhaps you're tempted to stop praying, to lose hope, or to believe you're too weak to survive. I felt that sinking despair, my friend, and it's heavy, but let me speak to your soul. You're not forsaken. You're being carried. You're not called to measure your worth by answered prayers or to sink in the silence. You are a child of God, crafted with a heart that perseveres, a purpose that shines through the storm. Lamentations 3:22-23 says, because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, for His compassions never fail. That's you, unconsumed, upheld by God. This drowning is God inviting you to shine where your prayers meet His power. Let me share a story to make this real. I once knew a woman who prayed for years to save her failing business, yet debts mounted, and she felt God was silent. Drowning in stress, she kept praying and began mentoring young entrepreneurs, sharing her skills. Her faith drew a partner who revived her business, and her story inspired many. The silence wasn't God's absence. It was His preparation, shaping a purpose that blessed others. She thrived, surrounded by those who valued her, her faith radiant. That flood became her testimony, echoing Dr. Munroe's words, your worth is in who God made you, not the storms you face. That's the power I want you to embrace today. You're praying but still drowning because God is deepening your trust, refining your character, and preparing a testimony that glorifies Him and affirms your divine worth. This storm isn't your failure. It's a sign that God is working, holding you where your heart belongs. Dr. Munroe taught that your purpose is to reflect God's glory, not to be dimmed by unanswered prayers. When you keep praying and shining, you become a beacon, ready for the moment God lifts you. The waves might test you, but you'll be too busy thriving in God's plan, your life a testament to His faithfulness. If you're sinking, doubting your prayers in this stormy season, hear this, release that burden. You're not defined by the silence or the weight of the flood. You're defined by the God who loves you, who hears you, who calls you His own. Don't let thoughts like my prayers are useless or I'm drowning alone dim your light. You are enough just as you are. God's got a destiny where your faith will soar, but you must keep praying to step into it. Matthew 7:7 says, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened. That's God's promise. Your prayers are heard. Trust that he's working even now. So how do you rise? First, root yourself in God's presence. Stop measuring your worth by answered prayers and start resting in his love. Spend time in his word, letting verses like Psalm 34:17 fill you. The righteous cry out and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from all their troubles. Tell yourself daily, God hears me. My heart is his. I'm destined to shine. When you're anchored in his presence, the storm loses its power to sink you, and you shine with a confidence that comes from knowing you're heard. Next, surrender the storm to God. The waves aren't yours to calm. His peace sustains you. Take your fears to him in prayer. Say, Lord, I'm drowning. Hold me and show me your purpose. Write down your burdens, then release them, trusting that God's plan outweighs the silence. Dr. Munroe taught that you're called to steward your purpose, not control the storm. Pray for strength to persevere and seek out a few who can pray with you, aligning with God's plan. When you surrender the storm, you reclaim your hope, and that freedom lets you thrive as God's beloved. Then embrace your God-given purpose. Drowning might overwhelm you, but your heart was never meant to stay submerged. It's meant for God's glory. Celebrate what makes you you, your gifts, your faith, your resilience. Pour your energy into what aligns with your purpose. Serve, love, take steps in faith even in the flood. Dr. Munroe said your purpose is where your gifts meet God's call. When you lean into God's plan, you rise above the waves, and the storm fades into the brilliance of your destiny. To those feeling abandoned, thinking unanswered prayers mean you're forgotten or afraid to hope, worried the storm defines you, I get it. The silence feels deafening and the fear of sinking is heavy, but you can't live God's purpose by stopping your prayers or believing you're alone. Shining, serving, chasing your dreams, it takes a heart that trusts, and it's safe in God's hands. Don't let the storm define you. Trust that God hears you, that he's crafting your purpose, that your destiny is secure. Psalm 66:19 says, God has surely listened and has heard my prayer. That's you, heard by God, free to shine. Your purpose awaits when you keep praying in his presence. Let me share another story. I knew a man who prayed for healing from a chronic illness, yet the pain persisted and he felt drowned by despair. He kept praying, volunteering at a hospital to comfort others. His faith led to a treatment breakthrough, and his story uplifted many. The silence wasn't his end. It was God's preparation, shaping a purpose that touched lives. He thrived, supported by those who valued him, his faith unwavering. That journey proved Dr. Munroe's truth. Your worth is in who God made you, not the storms you face. So what's this storm holding you back from? What dream are you pausing because God seems silent? What purpose are you hesitating to chase because you're drowning? My friend, you don't need answered prayers to shine. You need God's presence. You need your faith, your courage, your trust in the one who's holding you. The waves may test you, but they can't stop you unless you let them. Rise, release the despair, and pray on in the destiny God's crafting. The world needs your light, and no storm can dim what God's designed. Now let's talk about rising so vibrantly that the silence and storms become whispers in your story. Not to dismiss the pain, but to honor God's purpose in you. Pray for his glory, not just deliverance. When you're drowning, it's tempting to focus on the waves, but that's a trap. Instead, use your heart to serve God's kingdom. Share your gifts, shine boldly, pursue your calling, even in the flood. When you pray for God's glory, your light grows, shining brighter through the storm. Dr. Munroe said, your purpose is God's priority, not your storms. Let that drive you. Rise with confidence, knowing God's presence is your anchor. The silence might stir doubt, but trust that your prayers are enough, that his plan is perfect, that your destiny is secure. Step out boldly, even in the waves. When you carry yourself with the assurance that God hears you, you glow, drawing the right people and moments to you. That confidence isn't just for you, it's a beacon for others drowning, showing them they can rise through God's love. Rise with purpose. Don't let the storm derail you. Wake up each day asking, God, how can I shine for you today? Where do you want my light? Purpose keeps you steady even when the waves crash. When you focus on what God's called you to do, you build a life that's radiant, pulling you through the flood. The storm might linger, but you'll be too busy glorifying God to stay submerged, your life shouting his goodness. To rise above this season, cultivate what I call God confidence, the deep knowing that your worth comes from the one who hears you, not the answers you see. Spend time with him, let his word fill you. 1 John 5:14 says, "This is the confidence we have in approaching God, that if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us." That's you, heard by God, even in the storm. When you're rooted in that, no silence can sway you. Your light grows, ready for God's deliverance. Practice gratitude too. It's easy to focus on the unanswered prayers, but gratitude shifts your eyes to God's work. Thank him for hearing you, for sustaining your purpose, for the hope in the flood. Thank him for the lessons, the endurance, the moments of peace. Try this. Each day, write down one way God's keeping you afloat. Maybe it's a scripture, a kind voice, or a spark of faith. Gratitude doesn't erase the storm, but it lifts you above it, turning the flood into a bridge to your destiny. Let me share one more story. I knew a woman who prayed for her wayward son, yet he spiraled deeper into addiction, and she felt drowned by grief. She kept praying, leading a support group for other parents. Her faith led to her son's recovery, and her group saved many families. The silence wasn't her end. It was God's preparation, shaping a purpose that restored lives. She thrived, supported by those who valued her, her faith radiant. That journey proved Dr. Munroe's words, "Your worth is in who God made you to be." Guide God's purpose in you, my friend. The storm and silence can feel like drowning, but every moment is God working. He's hearing your heart, setting the stage for your purpose. Trust that he's not done. Your job is to keep praying, keep serving, keep being you, even in the flood. And celebrate your light. Don't let the waves dim it. Your strength, your gifts, your heart, they're all part of the treasure God gave you. Share it boldly, knowing it's enough. You are not defined by the silence or the storms of this drowning season. You are defined by the God who loves you, who hears you, who calls you to a purpose that's yours alone. You are radiant, irreplaceable, a vessel of divine destiny. The flood is a lesson, a sign, a nudge to shine wiser. Root yourself in God's love. Release the despair. Embrace your purpose. Pray for his glory with confidence and purpose. Lean into his confidence. Stay grateful. Trust his presence. Celebrate who you are. Do this and you'll live a life so vibrant that the storm fades into the brilliance of your purpose, glorifying God and inspiring others to trust him too. Go out there, my friend. Shine like you were made to. Pray on in your purpose with every ounce of faith you've got. Let the storm be the spark that lights your greatest chapter. The world's waiting for your light, and no flood can stop God's plan. You've got this, and I'm cheering you every step of the way.